Early on the first day of the week, while it was still dark, Mary Magdalene made her way to the tomb and found that the stone had been rolled away. My friends, today, now, as we did last Sunday, we still stand on the fresh soil of resurrection. The tomb is empty. Christ is risen. Christ is risen indeed. Alleluia. It is still Easter. And on Good Friday, we had named how our wilderness is held in the suffering and the embrace of Jesus on the cross. Then on Easter morning in resurrection last Sunday, we dove into Ephesians 1, chapter 1, verses 9 and 10. Were you there? We named how God is anakephaleosisthaying, that Greek word that means to retell, to bring together. All things is that other Greek word, that God is retelling all things, including the wilderness of our lives, including this global moment that we're in right now, retelling all wilderness into something that we have yet to see, but we will. Now we will see it and behold it in a new light with new meaning. Man, that was great, good news that I sure needed to hear and speak and absorb for Easter. Man, that message, it was and it is, it's really dear to me in this time that we find ourselves living in. And it has been sticking with me through this week. I hope that it's been sticking with you too, that all things will be made good again. And it will take time. So even as we stand at the empty tomb, we know that it's happening, even as we hold that wilderness. And we get to be people then who intentionally look for the signs of life, the glimpses of God's retelling of all things, which is our new sermon series for this Easter season. It's called Signs of Life. This is how we'll spend the weeks ahead of us together here at Salt House. And as we begin it very intentionally today, we dive into it and we begin very intentionally as people who listen. So we take this Sunday, this moment now, as a moment to pause and listen at the empty tomb, remaining in the early morning light of resurrection. Because I don't know about you, but even though I'm spending a lot more time at home, right? But I don't necessarily have or make time to really listen deeply. Is that true for you? Man, it's hard right now to actually stop and slow down and be present. And I think that's because even though, like in theory, like my schedule, it's clearer, right? But there's so much more in the way. Like physical people in the house all the time at the same time. And suddenly I'm homeschooling while trying to also be working. Or for others, it's like the financial insecurity and the unknown right now, or it's the loneliness or our worry or fear or grief. There's just a lot that's kind of in the way of listening right now, right? Are you experiencing that too? Man, I know it's true for me. So today we want to make that kind of room to listen. It's one of our core practices here at Salt House, that practice of hearing God, practicing ways to pay attention, to open, to be present to ourselves, to each other, to our world, to God, which is such gift. So I say all that just to name that even though, what we're about to do right now is in theory really simple, but in some ways, I think it seems like it should be easier to do it right now as we're all staying home. But I want us to name and hold how it might not be easy for some of us. We may even feel resistance or an inability to be still and listen right now. And that's okay. Like that's par for the course right now. It will feel hard and that's okay. Okay. And so we each just show up in whatever way that we can. And what we're going to do now is our common practice here at Salt House of Lectio Divina. It's a way of prayerfully reading the Bible that has been used since the 3rd century. It's been around a long time, and it's used a lot by us here at Salt House. So Lectio Divina, it's Latin, and it means divine reading or holy word. It's a practice allowing us to let the Bible really be the living, speaking, breathing thing that we believe that it is, okay? So for those who might be new to Lectio Divina, it's simple and it's accessible. Lectio involves repeating a section of the Bible a number of times, and we listen for a word or a phrase that gets our attention. Then we prayerfully hold that word or phrase. Curious about it, we look for connections to our life now and what God is saying to us in it, which is pretty great. So as we go through this, at different points, I'll invite you to briefly share what you're hearing. And as we've done this before, usually we're like in the same room as we do this, right? And we can turn to our neighbor and talk really easily and respond. Not the case right now in the same way. So this will be our first attempt at experimenting with Lectio Divina while tuning in from home. So how we respond will look different, and you can decide what that looks like for you. But I want to give you just a few options for what that can look like. So if you are watching this, engaging with this in a room with other people, then I would encourage you to share with them. And this goes for kids too. Kids who are with us, you can absolutely do Lectio Divina with us as we do this. So parents, you can kind of help walk them through this. If possible, you can also additionally write comments and responses in the comments section on Facebook. And for those who are tuning in and you're alone, you're without others in the room, we will be your people, okay? We will receive your sharing as you receive ours too. So do leave comments on Facebook if that's comfortable for you. Any of us can choose to not do it in the moment, but add our responses later too. If you want to just kind of not be paying attention to the screen, that's fine too. You can still give those responses and type them in later. I know I'm planning to both respond in the comments and to people in the room too. At least that's the plan. So just kind of figure out what works for you as we go through this, okay? And if you are able to, if you haven't yet, grab some paper or a journal and a pen. That's just kind of handy to have to jot down notes as things come to you during this time, but it's not necessary. Lectio is intended to be an auditory experience that we listen. But if you are a more visual person, we're going to pin the text there in the comments section so that you can refer to that and see it with your eyeballs if you need to see it. So it'll be there if you like to see it. So it should stay at the top and be visible for you to find. All right. So our text for Lectio Divina today comes from one of the Psalms. It's about half of one of the Psalms. We're using Psalm 16, verses 1 through 6. And we're using the Inclusive Bible Translation. So this is a psalm that is assigned today as the psalm for the day, meaning that there are churches around the globe who use the Revised Common Lectionary, is what it's called, and they will read and experience Psalm 16 just like us today too, which is pretty cool. I've actually already shared this text with the staff and with my Lectio Divina Zoom small group in recent weeks, so this is like a bonus experiment for them to try to come back to a text and listen to it again. So that's kind of fun for them. All right, so friends, let's do it, right? Let's listen. Let's spend time with God together now. So please get comfortable in your seat. Connect to your breath again. Roll those shoulders back again. The first step in Lectio Divina is just reading the text. We read the text. So stay in that place, connected to your breath, attentive. Our first time reading is just hear the text with no agenda, just letting the words kind of fall on our ears. So I invite you to listen with your eyes closed right now, if that's comfortable for you. And we'll hear Psalm 16, 1 through 6. O God, keep me safe. You are my refuge. I said to Yahweh, you are my God. There is nothing good for me apart from you. The holy people of my land are wonderful. My greatest pleasure is to be with them. But those who rush after other gods will bring many troubles upon themselves. I will not take part in their sacrifices. I won't even speak the names of their gods. You, Yahweh, are all that I have. You are my food and drink. My life is safe in your hands. Within the boundaries you set for me, there are nothing but pleasant places. What a delightful inheritance I have. So there we have it. Now, as we begin to listen more deeply, the next time through, we listen for a word or phrase that touches our heart, that kind of gets our attention. That's what we're listening for, just one word or short phrase. And sometimes we're drawn to more than one, and that's fine. Just pick one. There's no wrong answer. And just listen for something that shimmers for you as we read through this again. And when the word or phrase is found, just repeat it in your head, just hold it and reflect on it during the short silence that will follow the reading. O God, keep me safe. You are my refuge. I said to Yahweh, you are my God. There is nothing good for me apart from you. The holy people of my land are wonderful. My greatest pleasure is to be with them. But those who rush after other gods will bring many troubles upon themselves. I will not take part in their sacrifices. I won't even speak the names of their gods. You, Yahweh, are all that I have. You are my food and drink. My life is safe in your hands. Within the boundaries you set for me, there are nothing but pleasant places. What a delightful inheritance I have. All right, now I'll read the text again. And if there's a word or phrase that you've chosen, wonderful, just kind of hold that. If not, if you're finding it hard, you can find where we've pinned it on the comments there on Facebook. But you can still just listen this next time and let that settle in during this third reading, and then we'll have another short silence. So keep listening or hold that word or phrase that's coming for you. Oh God, keep me safe. You are my refuge. I said to Yahweh, you are my God. There is nothing good for me apart from you. The holy people of my land are wonderful. My greatest pleasure is to be with them. But those who rush after other gods will bring many troubles upon themselves. I will not take part in their sacrifices. I won't even speak the names of their gods. You, Yahweh, are all that I have. You are my food and drink. My life is safe in your hands. Within the boundaries you set for me, there are nothing but pleasant places. What a delightful inheritance I have. So we're going to take just 1 minute, and if you're willing, I invite you to share out loud with those in your room the word or phrase that's touched your heart. Just the words, don't say anything else about it, like no commentary about it yet. And you can share that word or phrase in the comments as well, if you would like to do that. So let's just take 1 minute. All right, friends, thank you for taking that quick moment to share. The second step of Lectio Divina is reflection. So we read, and then we reflect. We each hold the word or phrase and ask where the word or phrase touches our life right now and what we're living through. So really we're holding that question, God, what are you saying to me? God, what are you saying? It's what we hold as we listen. And we do this, as we do it, don't be afraid of distractions or like the busy brain that happens when thoughts rise up during Lectio Divina. They're asking to be given to God in prayer along with the rest of ourself. Okay? So embrace those things that come up, listen to them, don't fight them, and just continue to kind of hold your word while holding it in dialogue with God, listening for the why this word grabs our attention today, as we hear this text kind of spoken over us with a few moments of silence after. Oh God, keep me safe. You are my refuge. I said to Yahweh, you are my God. There's nothing good for me apart from you. The holy people of my land are wonderful. My greatest pleasure is to be with them. But those who rush after other gods will bring many troubles upon themselves. I will not take part in their sacrifices. I won't even speak the names of their gods. You, Yahweh, are all that I have. You are my food and drink. My life is safe in your hands. Within the boundaries you set for me, there are nothing but pleasant places. What a delightful inheritance I have. All right, continue to hold with curiosity that why and what around what that word is meaning for you and carry it with you into this next step. So we'll have a chance to share what we're hearing in a moment. So continue to hang on to that. So the third step is responding. So we read, we reflect, we respond. So the next reading of Psalm 16, while this is happening, it's for the purpose of hearing an invitation into a response. What is God in this text calling us to do or to become or to think differently about today or in the week to come? So first we asked that question, God, what are you saying? And now we ask that, what am I going to do about it? God, what should I do? How should I respond? What response might come out of what we're hearing? So answering this question, it may take longer than the next few minutes. You may need to really hold this, savor it in the week to come, live into the meaning and the response that we hear, okay? But we can begin to do that work now. So we listen for our response as we hear Psalm 16 spoken over our thoughts again. Oh God, keep me safe. You are my refuge. I said to Yahweh, you are my God. There is nothing good for me apart from you. The holy people of my land are wonderful. My greatest pleasure is to be with them. But those who rush after other gods will bring many troubles upon themselves. I will not take part in their sacrifices. I won't even speak the names of their gods. You, Yahweh, are all that I have. You are my food and drink. My life is safe in your hands. Within the boundaries you set for me, there are nothing but pleasant places. What a delightful inheritance I have. So friends, now we make time to make room to share what we're hearing with one another. So we're going to have a timer on the screen for 3 minutes to let you know how much time you have left. And if you are with other people, I hope that you'll take about a minute each. It really is just sharing briefly, like the introductory statements about what we're experiencing. You could even, if you have enough people, break into smaller groups of 2 or 3 if necessary. You can also add comments to Facebook if you'd like. If you are on your own, you can share in the comments section or make your own notes on paper or in a journal, or even text a friend about what you're hearing in this. So this really is a chance to name our word or phrase, the why it's coming up, and what kind of response you kind of sense you're being invited into. There's such power in naming things, so I really invite you to try to name the what word, why is it coming up, what's the response? And as always, you can just pass on any of this as you would prefer to. So let's get to it. I'll see you in 3 minutes. Ready, go. All right. All right. Thank you for sharing, friends. That's such courageous work, I know. And apologies, I know I'm probably cutting you off. Please kind of tag it for later. Please pick up the conversation later. We'll have some time to do that at the end of this or as the day unfolds for you, okay? So I just want to share a few thoughts about this text as well, okay? You see, the thing about the Psalms, like they are songs, right? They put into words like music does the whole gamut of our emotional world, right? All the feelings are in the Psalms, expressing just all the things. And this particular psalm is actually one that I have been kind of clinging to, reading again and again for this last month. I read Psalm 16. It was assigned as part of my devotions that I was reading on the evening of March 20th, right when things were really shutting down because of COVID-19. And it really just resonated so deeply for me. Like, the holy people of my land are wonderful. My greatest pleasure is to be with them. And I can't be with them right now. Within the boundaries you set for me, God, right? There are nothing but pleasant places. And I'm like, man, I have such distinct boundaries right now. The four walls of my house, right? But to see that as nothing but pleasant places, just such good stuff, right? I'm sure you heard some of that too. But there's something else that this psalm captures too. Do you hear the fear and the worry that is expressed, right? Oh God, keep me safe. And do you also hear the deep faith? You are my God. My life is safe in your hands. Please hear this today, like along with whatever's coming up for you in Lectio Divina today. Please hear this. We can be faithful and afraid. We can be faithful and afraid. Faith coexists with fear. Faith can coexist with grief and worry and anger. It is not either or. It is not fear or faith. It is both. And it's embodied so clearly in this psalm. And it's just such a good, necessary word for us right now. I know I need it because I find myself in this time, like so uncomfortable in my fear and my grief. It feels like bad, like I don't want to have it or think that I should have it, right? But then here's this psalm and 149 others in the Bible showing us, yes, we can and do and should feel all of the things. And it's hard to feel reassured that this is okay, that we can be people who are overwhelmed with our fear, our grief, our worry, yet who are also people who stand on the soil of resurrection, waiting to see how God is bringing it all together, all things into unity. And so it is in Psalm 16 and in the Jesus story and in the whole story of God. You can be, man, faithful and afraid, right? Yes, yes. So I just commend this to you, and I commend to you the rest of Psalm 16 for you to continue to reading this week. There are 5 more verses that are also great. We'll get that inclusive Bible version posted on social. I just find that version to be really wonderful. May it be a continuing comfort and encouragement for all of us in this time. Yes? Yes. So as we finish our time in Lectio Divina together, the 4th and final step of Lectio Divina is to remain. It's simply, as the beloved of God, to just sit in the presence of God. And we hold what we've heard spoken to us through the Bible, spoken through each other, as a word of grace and hope for us. That's what we do. As my seminary professor says, we get to sit fat and sassy in the grace of God. That's what it means to remain in this final step as we hear Psalm 16 for a final time. So I'm going to read it, and then after that final reading, we'll have just a time of quiet, some instrumental music. So please use it as a moment to write any final thoughts that you have down on the Facebook comments or in the journal or text to someone else. Take a moment to do just a final check-in with the others in the room, finish any thoughts that needed to be finished, or just take a moment to breathe and savor a quiet moment as the beloved of God, okay? Then we'll move into a time of prayer and Holy Communion. So here is Psalm 16, a final time, as both expressing our words. This is our prayer, right? And it's also prayed over us as a blessing as well, as we remain as the beloved of God. O God, keep me safe. You are my refuge. I said to Yahweh, you are my God. There is nothing good for me apart from you. The holy people of my land are wonderful. My greatest pleasure is to be with them. But those who rush after other gods will bring many troubles upon themselves. I will not take part in their sacrifices. I won't even speak the names of their gods. You, Yahweh, are all that I have. You are my food and drink. My life is safe in your hands. Within the boundaries you set for me, there are nothing but pleasant places. What a delightful inheritance I have. Amen, my friends. Amen.